You wake up and within 60 seconds it starts. The phone. The notifications. The low-grade hum of something you can't quite name, not panic, not dread, just the feeling of being behind before you've begun. You check the time. You scroll. You see something that irritates you. You think about the meeting you're not ready for. You think about the conversation you've been avoiding. You think about the thing you said yesterday that you wish you hadn't. And now, before you've even stood up, before you've even put your feet on the floor, your mind has already been in 5 different places, none of them here, none of them now, and all of them pulling you away from yourself. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't your morning. The problem is that you walked into the day unarmed. You never trained for it. You just showed up and hoped it would go well. And when it didn't, because it never does, not entirely, you called that a bad day. You blamed the traffic. You blamed the email. You blamed the person who snapped at you. You blamed everything except the one thing you actually control, the fact that you entered the arena with no armor, no plan, no rehearsal, and no memory of who you are when things get hard. Most people call this a morning. The Stoics would call it a surrender. And here's the thesis, the one idea I want you to hold onto for the next 20 minutes and ideally for the rest of your life: you don't prepare for the day by hoping it goes well. You prepare for the day by rehearsing how it falls apart, so that when it does, you're the one person in the room who doesn't break. Before the day touches you, you touch it first. Say that back to yourself. Before the day touches you, you touch it first. That's the whole practice. That's the ancient technology I'm about to hand you. It's not complicated. It doesn't require an app. It doesn't require a journal with a leather cover. It requires 5 minutes and a willingness to do something that almost everyone around you will think is strange, or dark, or pessimistic. It isn't pessimistic. It's the opposite. It's the most optimistic thing you can do, because it's built on a quiet, unshakable conviction that you can handle what's coming. Let me take you back. Roughly 1800 years ago, a man sat in a tent on the Danube frontier. He was the most powerful person in the world. He commanded the Roman army. He could have anyone killed. He could have anything built. He had wealth beyond what you or I can meaningfully imagine. And every single morning, before he spoke to his generals, before he reviewed the troops, before he put on the purple and walked into the machinery of empire, he did something that would seem, to most people, deeply unusual for someone in his position. He told himself that today he would meet difficult people. He told himself that people would be selfish, dismissive, rude, arrogant. He told himself that things would go wrong. He told himself that he would be tempted to react, to lash out, to retreat into himself. And then he told himself the most important part: none of it can touch who I am unless I let it. That man was Marcus Aurelius. And what he was doing has a name. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. I know, the name sounds grim. It sounds like something a doomsday preacher would whisper. But stay with me, because what it actually is, what it actually does, is the exact opposite of what the name suggests. Think about it this way. When a surgeon walks into an operating room, she has already rehearsed what happens if the patient bleeds. She has already rehearsed what happens if the anesthesia fails. She has already rehearsed the moment where everything goes sideways and she has to make a decision in 3 seconds that determines whether someone lives or dies. She doesn't rehearse these things because she's pessimistic. She rehearses them because she's responsible. Because the cost of being surprised is too high. Because when the crisis comes, she doesn't have time to figure out how she feels about it. She has to act. Your day is not an operating room. I understand that. But the principle is identical. You are going to walk into situations today where you will be tested. Someone is going to say something that hits you in a place you didn't know was exposed. Something is going to break, a plan, a relationship, a deal, a version of yourself you were trying to maintain. And in that moment, the gap between the person you want to be and the person you actually are is going to open up, and you're going to feel it, and it's going to hurt. And what you do in that gap, that's your life. That's who you are. Everything else is just the story you tell yourself between crises. So the question is, do you rehearse for that moment, or do you just hope it doesn't come? Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Most people are hoping it doesn't come. Their entire strategy for dealing with adversity is to not think about it. To push it away. To scroll past it. To keep the noise loud enough that the quieter, deeper fears never reach the surface. And that works, right up until it doesn't. Right up until the thing they refuse to think about arrives, and they have no framework for it, no mental muscle for it, no memory of having survived anything like it. And then they break. Not because the thing was unbearable. But because they never trained for it. You train for everything else. You train for your job. You train for presentations. You train your body, maybe. You train your skills. But you never train your mind for the one thing it will absolutely, without question, have to face: loss, disruption, difficulty, the plans you made collapsing in front of you. You leave the most important training to chance, and then you wonder why you feel so fragile. Here's what nobody tells you about fragility. Fragility isn't weakness. Fragility is unpreparedness. You're not weak. You're unprepared. And unpreparedness has a cure. The cure is premeditation. The cure is sitting with the worst before it arrives, looking at it squarely, feeling it, and then putting it down. Not dwelling. Not obsessing. Not spiraling. Just touching it. Just saying, this could happen. And I will still be here. And then moving into your day with the strange, quiet confidence of someone who has already met the worst version of today and decided it doesn't own them. Before the day touches you, you touch it first. Now let me break this down into its two parts, because there are really two distinct practices woven together here, and they do different things. The first part is what I'll call the rehearsal of difficulty. This is what Marcus Aurelius was doing in that tent on the Danube. He was running a simulation. He was saying to himself, today I will encounter people who are difficult. They will be rude. They will be ungrateful. They will be arrogant. They will misunderstand me. They will try to make me react. And I will be tempted to be angry, tempted to be petty, tempted to withdraw, tempted to match their energy. And when that temptation comes, I will remember that it cannot harm me. That the only thing it can touch is the part of me that I have already decided to surrender. And I will not surrender it. Notice what he's doing. He's not hoping people will be kind. He's not visualizing a smooth day. He's not doing what modern self-help tells you to do: picture the best outcome, manifest the good energy, attract the positive vibrations. He's doing the exact opposite. He's picturing the difficult outcome. He's pre-feeling the irritation. He's pre-living the confrontation. And here's why: because when it actually happens, it won't be new. It won't be a surprise. It won't flood his system with adrenaline and cortisol and send him into a reactive spiral. It will be something he's already seen. Something he's already metabolized. Something that arrives and finds him already standing there, already steady, already prepared. There's a reason this works, and it's not just philosophy. It's biology. Your brain has a system for processing threat, an alarm circuit that fires when something unexpected and negative happens. When you're caught off guard, that circuit floods you. Your heart rate spikes. Your thinking narrows. Your body prepares for fight or flight, and your higher reasoning, the part of you that chooses who to be, goes offline. That's why you snap at people. That's why you send the text you regret. That's why you say the thing you can't take back. Not because you're a bad person. Because you were flooded. Because the alarm went off and there was no one at the controls. But here's what's remarkable. When you pre-experience the threat, when you sit quietly and imagine the difficult conversation, the rejection, the loss, the disruption, your brain begins to process it in advance. It's like a vaccine. You introduce a small, controlled dose of the stressor, and your system builds a response to it. So when the real thing arrives, the alarm doesn't fire as hard. It doesn't flood you. It doesn't hijack your prefrontal cortex. There's a recognition, oh, I've been here before. I've felt this. I know what this is. And in that recognition, there's a gap. A pause. And in that pause, you get to choose. That pause is everything. That pause is the difference between reacting and responding. That pause is the difference between being a person who is pushed around by the world and a person who stands in the world. That pause is what Marcus Aurelius was building every morning in that tent. Not a good mood. Not a positive attitude. A pause. An architecture of confidence that sits between the event and the reaction, and gives you, the space to decide who you are. Now the second part of the practice. This one is different. This one goes deeper. The Stoics called it negative visualization, and it does something the rehearsal of difficulty doesn't. It doesn't prepare you for what's coming. It changes how you see what you already have. Here's the problem. You adapt. It's what humans do. It's what your brain is built to do. You get something good, a relationship, a job, a home, your health, a moment of peace, and for a while, you feel it. You feel grateful. You feel lucky. You feel the warmth of it. And then, slowly, without noticing, the warmth fades. Not because the thing changed. Because you adapted. Your brain recalibrated. It moved the good thing from the category of gift into the category of background. It became normal. It became expected. It became invisible. This is what psychologists call hedonic adaptation, and it is the quiet thief of your life. It's the reason you have more than almost every human who has ever lived and still feel like something is missing. It's the reason you have people who love you and still feel alone. It's the reason you have a body that works and never once think about what it would mean if it stopped. You've adapted. You've taken it for granted. And taking things for granted is not a character flaw. It's a biological process. It's your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do, normalizing the environment so it can focus on threats. But here's the cost. The cost is that you stop feeling your own life. You stop tasting your food. You stop seeing the faces of the people you love. You stop feeling the miracle of being healthy, of being safe, of being here. You go through your days surrounded by gifts you no longer see, and you wonder why you feel empty. You wonder why nothing is ever enough. You wonder why you keep reaching for the next thing, the new thing, the better thing, and it never fills the space. It never fills the space because the space isn't a shortage of things. The space is a shortage of attention. You stopped paying attention to what you have. And you cannot feel grateful for something you don't pay attention to. Gratitude isn't a feeling. It's a perception. And perception can be trained. Negative visualization is that training. It works like this. You take something you have, something you love, something you depend on, something you've stopped seeing, and you imagine losing it. Not permanently. Not obsessively. Just for a moment. You imagine walking into your home and the person you love most is not there. You imagine waking up and your body doesn't work the way it worked yesterday. You imagine opening your wallet and there's nothing in it. You imagine the freedom you have, to walk outside, to speak your mind, to choose your path, suddenly gone. You sit with that. You feel the floor drop out. You feel the cold rush of what that would actually be like. And then, and this is the key, you come back. You open your eyes. The person is still there. Your body still works. Your wallet still has what it had. Your freedom is still intact. And for a moment, maybe just a few seconds, you feel something you haven't felt in a long time. You feel the gift. You feel the thing you stopped seeing. You feel it as if you had lost it and gotten it back. Epictetus understood this. He told his students to remember that the people they love are mortal. Not to depress them. To wake them up. He said, when you kiss your child, remember that you are kissing a mortal. When you embrace someone you love, remember that they could be taken from you. Not because they will be. Not because you should live in fear. But because the remembering changes the embrace. It puts light in it. It puts presence in it. It turns a routine gesture into something sacred, because you are no longer doing it on autopilot. You are doing it with the full weight of knowing that this moment is not guaranteed. Seneca did something similar. He recommended periodically living as if things had already been taken away. Eat simple food. Sleep on a hard surface. Go without. Not because comfort is bad. Because comfort without awareness is deadening. When you periodically go without the things you have, you break the adaptation. You reset the baseline. And when you return to them, you return with eyes that can see again. This is not pessimism. I want to say that again because it matters. This is not pessimism. Pessimism is expecting the worst and being consumed by it. This is expecting the worst and being freed by it. Pessimism contracts you. Premeditation expands you. Pessimism says, everything will fall apart and I won't survive it. Premeditation says, everything could fall apart, and I will still be here. Do you hear the difference? One is a surrender. The other is a declaration. And here's what it's costing you right now, the fact that you don't do this. The fact that you wake up and walk into the day without rehearsal, without premeditation, without touching the difficulty first. It's costing you your mornings. It's costing you your reactions. It's costing you your relationships, because you snap at people you love when you get flooded, and you get flooded because you never prepared for the flood. It's costing you your gratitude, because you've adapted to a life that would look like paradise to almost anyone in history, and you can't even feel it. It's costing you your self-respect, because every night you go to bed knowing you reacted instead of responded, you let the day happen to you instead of happening to it, and that knowledge accumulates. It settles into your bones. It becomes the quiet background hum of a life that feels like it's happening to you rather than through you. You still don't feel whole. You still don't feel like you. And part of the reason, not all of it, but part of it is that you have never built the pause. You have never trained the muscle that stands between the event and the reaction. You have never given yourself the gift of being prepared. So let me give you something concrete. Let me give you a protocol. 5 minutes. Every morning. Before the phone. Before the notifications. Before the world reaches in and starts pulling you in 5 directions. 5 minutes where you sit, you breathe, and you do this. Minute 1. You sit still. You close your eyes. You feel your body in the chair, the bed, the floor. You feel the weight of yourself. You feel the breath. You are not trying to achieve anything. You are not trying to feel peaceful. You are simply arriving. You are saying to yourself, I am here. Before the day begins, I am here. This is already different from what you normally do, which is to leap out of bed and into the current. You are choosing to stand on the bank for a moment and look at the river before you step in. Minute 2. You rehearse the difficulty. You say to yourself, today, I will meet people who are difficult. Someone will be rude. Someone will be unfair. Someone will misunderstand me. Something I planned will not work. Something I expected will not arrive. I will be tempted to react. I will feel the pull of anger, of self-pity, of the urge to retreat. You don't dwell on these things. You don't build a story around them. You just name them. You hold them up and look at them. And then you say the line that Marcus Aurelius said to himself, none of this can touch who I am unless I let it. None of it. The rude person. The broken plan. The missed expectation. The disappointment. None of it reaches the core. The core is mine. Minute 3. You rehearse the loss. You take one thing you have, one thing you love, one thing you depend on, and you imagine it gone. The person next to you. The health in your body. The roof over your head. The freedom to move through your day. You imagine the absence. You feel the cold of it. You let it hit you. And then you come back. You open your internal eyes and the thing is still there. And you feel, maybe just for a second, maybe just a flicker, the warmth of having it back. You feel the gift. You feel the ordinary miracle of your life as it is right now. Minute 4. You train your desire. This is the part that Pigliucci writes about, the discipline of desire. You say to yourself, today, I will want only what is guaranteed. And what is guaranteed? That I will encounter events. That some will be pleasant and some will not. That I will have choices about how to respond. That my character is mine. That this moment is mine. Everything else, the outcomes, the results, the approval, the success, the smooth path, is not guaranteed. It is preferred, but not guaranteed. And I will not build my peace on things I do not control. I will build my peace on the one thing I do control, how I carry myself through whatever comes. Minute 5. You stand up. You open your eyes. You pick up the phone. You walk into the day. But you are different now. You are not the same person who would have walked in unarmed. You have rehearsed the difficulty. You have felt the loss and returned from it. You have narrowed your desire to what is actually yours. You have built the pause. You have laid the architecture. And now, when the first hard thing comes, and it will come, maybe in the first hour, maybe in the first 5 minutes, there will be a moment where the old you would have reacted. Would have snapped. Would have spiraled. would have let the alarm take over. But the new you, the you who has been here, who has already touched this, who has already felt the worst version of today and decided to stand anyway, the new you pauses. And in that pause, you choose. That's it. 5 minutes. That's the practice. That's the ancient technology. It has survived for 2,000 years not because it's elegant or because it sounds good in a book, but because it works. Because it was tested in war and exile and loss and the collapse of empires, and it held. Because the people who used it, a slave, a senator, an emperor, found that it made them something the world could not break. And here's the thing I want you to understand about what this practice does over time. It doesn't just change your mornings. It changes your identity. Because when you do this every day, when you sit with the worst and come back from it, when you rehearse the difficulty and choose to stand anyway, when you feel the loss and return to the gift, you are telling yourself something. You are telling yourself, I am someone who can face what's hard. I am someone who does not look away. I am someone who prepares. I am someone who does not surrender the core. And that message, repeated daily, becomes a structure. It becomes load-bearing. It becomes the thing you stand on when the ground shakes. Because the ground will shake. I'm not going to pretend it won't. You will lose things you thought you couldn't live without. You will face days that make the difficult mornings you rehearsed look gentle. You will be tested in ways you cannot now imagine. And on those days, the 5 minutes you spent every morning touching the worst before it arrived, that will be the thing that holds you. Not because it gave you a trick or a technique. Because it built you into someone who has already met the dark and learned that it does not own you. Before the day touches you, you touch it first. I want you to feel the weight of that line. Not as a slogan. Not as something to put on a poster. As a practice. As a way of entering your life. Because right now, the day touches you first. The phone touches you first. The notification touches you first. The difficult person touches you first. The broken plan touches you first. The bad news touches you first. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already reacting. You're already in the current. You're already being pulled. This practice reverses that. This practice says, no. I go first. I sit with the difficulty before it arrives. I feel the loss before it happens. I choose my stance before the event demands one. I am not a leaf in the current. I am the rock in the river. The water moves around me. And here's the paradox, the beautiful, strange paradox at the heart of this. When you rehearse the worst, you don't become darker. You become lighter. When you sit with loss, you don't become sad. You become grateful. When you premeditate difficulty, you don't become anxious. You become calm. Because the thing you were afraid of, the thing you were avoiding, the thing you were pushing away with your scrolling and your noise and your constant motion, you looked at it. And you survived the looking. And now it has less power. It's smaller. It's not the monster under the bed anymore. It's just a thing. A thing you can face. That's what the Stoics understood that most people don't. Avoidance is what creates fear. Facing is what dissolves it. Not facing once, heroically, in a moment of crisis. Facing daily. Facing quietly. Facing before the crisis comes, so that when it arrives, you have already done the hardest part. You have already been afraid and stayed. Most people think resilience is something you discover about yourself in the moment of crisis. It isn't. Resilience is something you build in the quiet, Unremarkable minutes before the crisis. It's built in the 5 minutes no one sees. It's built in the rehearsal no one knows about. It's built in the morning when you sit alone and say, "Today could go wrong. Today could break my heart. Today could take something from me. And I am going to walk into it anyway. Not because I'm brave. Because I'm prepared. Because I've already been here, in my mind, and I know the way through." You wake up reactive because you never trained for the day ahead. You walked into it unarmed. That's the mistake. And the correction is simple. Not easy. Simple. Touch the day before it touches you. Rehearse the worst so it can't surprise you. Feel the loss so you can feel the gift. Narrow your desire to what is yours. Build the pause. And then walk into the world as someone who has already met the dark and decided it doesn't get the last word. You are not fragile. You are unprepared. And unpreparedness has a cure. 5 minutes. Every morning. Before the phone. Before the noise. Before the day reaches in. Before the day touches you, you touch it first. Stay prepared.